Vishnupad Paramhansa Parivajikacharya Astottara Sattva Sishimari's Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavindi Ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur Ki Jai ISKCON founder Acharya Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Sham Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Mathura Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulasi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai Samaveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Itai Gaura Premanande All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna All glories to the assembled devotees Hare Krishna All glories to the lotus feet of Sri Sri Guru and Gauranga Lord Sri Prabhupada Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Gita Swami Nityanamani Namaste Vishwadaya Prabhupada Stapani Sri Karuna Shakti Bhakti Nityanamani Narayana Namaskritya Naronte Vam Narotamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Vadirayat Nashta Prayeswa Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhavatu Tamasloke Bhakti Bhavati Naishtiki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
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 Hare Krishna. Jai. So, Hare Krishna devotees, good morning. Please accept our humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. So, this morning, the Srimad Bhagavatam class is from Canto 2, Chapter 2, texts 20 and 21. I see you post 20 on there. So we'll start with 20. And I'll chant 20 through fully, and then you can chant if you so desire. And then we'll go from there. Okay. So, text 20. Nabhyam stitam hridyadirupya chasmat udana gatyo rasitam yave nayan muni tatonu san daya diya manasvi swatalu mulam sanake nayeta Nabhyam stitang hridyadirupya tasmad Udana gatyura sitam nayan muni tatonu sandaya diya manasvi swatanu mulam shaknake nayita Nabhyam stitam hridyadirupya tasmad Udana gatyura sitam nayan muni Tatonu sandhaya diramanasvi swatalo mulam shanake nayeta. Hare Krishna. Please stand.
Nabhayam stitam hridayadirupa tasmad Udana yatam nayen muni Tato anusandhyadiya manasvi Swatal mulam sanakai nayeta.
Hare Krishna. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Nabhyam stitam nritya adiropya tasmad udanam gato
Okay.
Nabhayam sthitam hridhi adhirupaya tasmad udana gato yarashitam nayana muni tato anusandhaya dhiya manashvi Satalumulam shankaya nayeta.
Hare Krishna. Okay.
नाभ्यां स्थितं हृदि अधिरोप्य तस्मात् उदानगत्योरसीतं नयेन मुनि ततो अनुसन्धाय धिया मनस्वी स्वतालुमूलं शनकैर्नयेत.
Okay. Anyone else? All right, so we'll do word for word. Navyam on the navel, Sitam situated, Hridi in the heart, Adiropya by placing, Tasmat from there, Udana soaring, Gatya force, Urasi on the chest, Tam thereafter, Nayet should draw, Muni the meditative devotee, Tata them, Anusandaya just to search out, Dhiya by intelligence, Manasvi the meditative, Swatalu Mulam at the root of the palate, Shanake slowly, Nayeta may be brought in. Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The meditative devotee should slowly push up the life air from the navel to the heart, and from there to the chest, and from there to the root of the palate. He should search out the proper places with intelligence. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. There are 6 circles of the movement of the life air, and the intelligent bhakti yogi should search out these places with intelligence and in a meditative mood. Among these mentioned above is the Swadhisthana chakra, or the powerhouse of the life air. And above this, just below the abdomen and navel, is the Manipuraka chakra. When upper space is further searched out in the heart, one reaches the Anahata chakra, and further up, when the life air is placed at the root of the palate, one reaches the Vishuddhi chakra. Okay, text 21. Okay. Tasmad Buruva Antaram Unayita Iruda Saptaya Tanuna Piksha Chitamu Atadam Akunta Dishti Nividya Murtam Visidet Paramgata. Word for word translation. Tasmat, from there, Bruva of the eyebrows, Antaram in between, Unayeta should be brought in, Niruda by blocking, Sapta 7, Ayatana outlets of the life air, Anapeksha independent of all material enjoyment, Stitva by keeping, Muhurta of a moment, Adham half, Akunta back home, back to Godhead, Drishti one whose aim is targeted like that, Nibridya punching, Moldan the cerebral hole, Vestijet should give up this body, Param the supreme, Gata having gone to. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada. Thereafter, the Bhakti Yogi should push the life air up between the eyebrows, and then blocking the 7 outlets of the life air, he should maintain his aim for going back home, back to Godhead. If he is completely free from all desires for material enjoyment, he should then reach the cerebral whole and give up his material connections, having gone to the Supreme. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The process of giving up all material connections and returning home back to Godhead, the Supreme, is recommended herein. The condition is that one should be completely freed from desire for material enjoyment. There are different grades of material enjoyments in respect to duration of life and sensual gratification. The highest plane of sensual enjoyment for the longest period of life is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 9, text 20. All are but material enjoyments, and one should be thoroughly convinced that he has no need of such a long duration of life, even in the Brahmaloka planet. He must return home, back to Godhead, and must not be attracted by any amount of material facilities. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, text 59, it is said that this sort of material detachment is possible to attain when one is acquainted with the supreme association of life, paramdrisvanivartate. One cannot be freed from material attraction unless he has complete understanding of the nature of spiritual life. The propaganda by a certain class of impersonalists that spiritual life is devoid of all varieties is dangerous propaganda to mislead the living beings into becoming more and more attracted by material enjoyments. As such, persons with a poor fund of knowledge cannot have any conception of the Param, the Supreme. They try to stick to the varieties of material enjoyments, although they may flatter themselves as being Brahman realized souls. Such less intelligent persons cannot have any conception of the Param, as mentioned in this verse, and therefore they cannot reach the Supreme. The devotees have full knowledge of the spiritual world, the personality of Godhead, and his transcendental association in unlimited spiritual planets called Vaikuntha Lokas. Herein, Akunta Drishti is mentioned. Akunta and Vaikuntha convey the same import, and only one who has his aim fixed upon that spiritual world and personal association with the Godhead can give up his material connections even while living in a material world. This Param and the Param Dham, mentioned in several places in the Bhagavad Gita, are one and the same thing. One who goes to the Param Dhama does not return to the material world. This freedom is not possible, even by reaching the topmost loka of the material world. The life air passes through 7 openings, namely 2 eyes, 2 nostrils, 2 ears, and 1 mouth. Generally, it passes through the mouth at the time of an ordinary man's death. But the yogi, as above mentioned, who controls the life air in his own way, generally releases the life air by puncturing the cerebral hole in the head. The yogi therefore blocks up all the above mentioned 7 openings so that the life air will naturally burst forth through the cerebral hole. This is the sure sign of a great devotee's leaving the material connection. Om Gyanat Mirandasya Gyana Gyana Shalakaya Chakshu Omlitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadatikam Vande Ham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Scha Shri Rupa Sagajatam Sahagana Ragunatam Vitam Tan Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namustite. Tapta Kanchana Gourangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishavanusute Devi Paramami Hari Priye. Vanchakalpatarubhescha Kripa Sundibhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare. Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swamini Tinamini. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharini Nirveshesha Sunyabadi Paschatya Deshatarane. Namo Mahabodanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namni Goatishe Namaha. Ananda Lilamaya Vigrahaya Himaviri Vichapishindaraya Tasmi Mahaprema Raspadaya Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Shri Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Shri Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Shri Chaitanya Chandaya Namo Namaste. Hare Krishna. So I'll just read the English translation of the two texts. Text 21st. The English translation is, the meditative devotee should slowly push up the life air from the navel to the heart, and from there to the chest, from there to the root of the palate. He should search out the proper places with intelligence. And text 21, thereafter the Bhakti Yogi should push the life air up between the eyebrows, and then blocking the 7 outlets of the life air, he should maintain his aim for going back home, back to Godhead. If he is completely free from all desires for material enjoyment, he should then reach the cerebral hole and give up his material connections, having gone to the Supreme. So these two texts are talking about how a person leaves the material world, what kind of consciousness, and this related also to the different chakras. So Srila Prabhupada never just leaves any stone unturned. So he would talk about different chakras, but it always winds up reminding us about our duties as devotees. So in this, it's no different. In text 20, the devotee, the meditative devotee, he said, to slowly push up the life air from the navel to the heart, and so on, into the chest, then to the root of the palate, like that. And in the next text, he says then that push it up even further between the eyebrows, which is where the third eye is, then try to get out through the cerebral hole, which is cerebral has to do with the head, with the brain, and give up the life air that way. So if we're interested in leaving that way, Srila Prabhupada has given the steps to go. So he talks about there are 6 movements of the air, of the life air, 6 circles first, in the first purpose, this is the 6 circles. So there's movement from one to another, and then to another, and so on. Since there are 6 circles of movement, there will be then 7 chakras. To move from one to another, you have to have 2 points. If you have to move one and then move a second time, then you have to go A to B, then B to C. So you have to have A, B, C, 3 points. So if there are 6 circles of movement, then of course there are 7 chakras. And since you got a little technical, if you allow me, I'll just go through mentioning what the chakras are, a little bit about what they are and what they help based on our material and the gross material and the 7 material body. So the bottom one is the root chakra. It's called Muladhara. It's at the base of our spine. And that's what helps us to be grounded and able to withstand challenges, giving us a sense of security and stability. Now, this is from the material standpoint now. Our security and stability really is from the chanting of Hare Krishna Mantra and Lord Sringadev. Security, that's there. But then from a material standpoint, since your Papa went into that, we're spending a little time talking about it. I won't spend too much time there. The next up from that, going further up, and they're all in a straight line, by the way. Chakra or Swadhisthana, just below the belly. That chakra, so it's a wheel, chakra's wheel, is responsible for the sexual and creative energy. It also relates to the emotions of ourselves and how we relate to others emotionally also. So it's interesting that this chakra is responsible for sexual and creative energy. So we know that one of our regulator principles is the illicit sex. Now, this was something that I found out a while back because my background, a little bit of my background has to do with music. And I found out that I felt less lusty the more I put energy into creating music. That energy went there. Even as I was in the economy, I kind of had a sense of it. But as a devotee and then beginning to compose music for Krishna, then that happiness from the creative energy, from what gift that Krishna had given me, actually made me less and less and less and less lusty. So I'm not surprised at all that this is mentioned here, that, you know, sexual energy and creative energy, it's the same chakra. So the message we're sending is, in your own way, be creative. In your own way, be creative as a way of bringing down and being able to control the sexual urge. Solar plexus chakra, or Manipura, that's in the stomach area, and it's responsible for confidence and self-esteem. That's that chakra that does that. Then the heart chakra is clearly that near Anahata, near the heart, on the center of the chest. And of course, that, since it's heart, it will be about the ability to love and also show compassion. Then the throat chakra, Vishuddha, that's located in the throat. And the throat is where our voice box is. So the chakra has to do with our ability to communicate verbally. That's the throat chakra. Then there's the third eye chakra, or Agnya chakra, that's between our eyes. That is responsible for our gut instinct, intuition, imagination. That the third eye chakra does that. And then the top of the head, the crown chakra, or Sahasrara. That's, not surprisingly, and very much connected to what we talked about today. That represents the spiritual connection to ourselves, the spiritual connection to others, and the spiritual connection to the universe. It also plays a role in our life's purpose. That is the crown chakra. So, needless to say, Srila Prabhupada described it very consistent with the fact that the crown chakra is where the Bhakti yogi, a person that knows more yoga, would try to go back to Godhead by having the life air come out from the top of the head. Now, Srila Prabhupada, in his mercy and in his intelligence, has simplified things for us as to how we go back to Godhead. Now we'll get to that later. But at least through the chakras, those who have learned it that way, they can go that way. And in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, first, the yogi should plug up the evacuation hole with the heel of the foot, and then the life air just moves up, navel, abdomen, chest, palate, eyebrows, and then up to the top. But then he says that it is a mechanical way. It's a mechanical practice, or more or less a physical endeavor for spiritual perfection, because it's something that you really have to do with this physical body to move the life air up. So in these days, Kali Yuga, people are not doing that. In the olden days, he said olden days, which means the yugas before this, where people were more connected with spirituality and yoga and those things. Then, of course, they were able to leave when they wanted to by blocking different airs and then, having the chakra come out where they wanted the life air to come out, what chakra they wanted it to come out with. So they have more control even in those times of leaving. So it's very simple. Today in Kali Yuga, this same result for a devotee is attained by chanting the holy name of the Lord. When we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, Srila Prabhupada says the notes are even, the results are even more effective. So whatever position a devotee is lying at the time that they leave the body, if they are thinking about the Lord by chanting his holy name, then they don't have to worry about where the life is going, because the spiritual master will be attentive, the Lord will be attentive, and to the situation of that particular soul, like that. So then it's not so difficult on us. Again, another way in which Srila Prabhupada has simplified the way we go back to Godhead. But there are requirements. We have to give up material connections. We have to give up material connections, which means you have to have the understanding of Atma Tattva, who we really are, and our role here in the material world, what the material world really is, and the desire to go home should be a strong one. And even a stronger one would be how to help others also to get on the path to go back home. That is what Krishna likes us to do. So the condition for a devotee is that they should be completely free from the desire for material enjoyment. That's why the 4 regulatory principles are very, very important for us. And even though we practice, sometimes people stop physically dealing with those, physically obeying the regulatory principles, but then there's some desire that's still there. That also has to go. And when a person cannot quite get rid of that because there's some addiction to it, then it is time for serious praying to the spiritual master and to Lord Gauranga to relieve us of that sinful desire. The 4 pillars of sinful activity, they have to go. So Srila Prabhupada described that, yes, in the heavenly planets, some people, they want to get to that. They worship different demigods and they go to the heavenly planets where the demigods are in control. And they want to go enjoy life, extended life of sense gratification, an extended period of living. But that's all really a waste of time. It's a waste of time because it's like going on an extended vacation. That time that you spend there, no matter how long, will come to an end. And when it comes to an end, you have to get out of the heavenly planets and come. And heavenly planets also are places of suffering because there's rivalry still there. And every now and then a situation happens where some demon starts attacking the demigods. We have so many examples of that. Vritrasura attacked, Bali Maharaj attacked, the list goes on. Heavenly planets. And then they go through their own disturbances due to rivalry. This one going after this one's wife and so on. This is crazy things that's going on. It's still a heavenly planet, but they do have plenty of sense gratification arrangements. That's there. That is not home. That is not home. And so we are being directed where we need to go to get home. So yes, the way in which the life air can be raised all the way up to the top of the head, it's been described by Srila Prabhupada. But in Kali Yuga, we're not trained in that. And so it's in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, Attaining the Supreme, text 10. Rayana Kale Manasa Chalena, Bhaktya Yukto Yoga Balena Cheva, Pruvo Magye Pranam Avesha Samyak, Satam Param Purusham Upaiti Divyam. So that also still adds to what's being said by Srila Prabhupada already, that one who at the time of her death fixes his life air between the eyebrows and by the strength of yoga with an undeviating mind, engages himself, and here's the important part, remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion, will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When we engage ourselves in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion, then we will attain to the abode of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A section of the purport of this particular text, chapter 8-10. Srila Prabhupada says, those who have practiced yoga, though, those who practiced it, it's recommended that they raise their life force between the eyebrows to the Ajna chakra. So then Srila Prabhupada says, in a few sentences later, that a pure devotee does not practice such yoga because he's always engaged in Krishna consciousness. And at death, he can remember the Supreme Personality of Godhead by his grace. So the thing we need to know is that, one, we cannot suddenly remember the Supreme Lord at death. There's so much that's going on in a person's mind at death. The person's mind gets quite disturbed. And there's pain because the senses are shutting down. And so we have to remember Krishna. And the only way we remember Krishna is to be constantly involved with Krishna at the time we're not dead yet. At the time that we are living, we should be serving and serving from our hearts. And sometimes the devotees get a little bit comfortable because of the situation materially, and they say, oh, we have this, and then we fall into serving, but in a mechanical way. And that should have bells ringing in our hearts. Nobody loves mechanically. If we want Krishna Prema, it will not come through mechanical way. We have to have our hearts in everything that we're doing. And if our heart is into service, then the mind will begin to think of different ways to improve even what we're doing already. How to make it even sweeter to the Lord. To think of little things to add to the service. Just to increase the quality, not necessarily the quantity, but the quality, how it's done. You get up in the morning, you're already happy because you're going to be taking a bath and beginning to chant the holy name of the Lord. Already the heart is happy to do that. And so when we think about the Supreme Lord all the time, as Srila Prabhupada says, we cannot suddenly remember the Lord at death. So I asked my spiritual master, Bhattacharya Maharaj, about this. What is the thought that comes to a person's mind at death? And he answered it very simply. The predominant thought, what you think about the most when you are living is what is most likely the thought you're going to have in your mind when you're leaving the body. What you think about the most, that's going to prevail. And that is why it is necessary to train the mind. So Prabhupada says we have to train the mind to think of Krishna all the time. And the easiest way is to hear about Krishna, to chant the holy name of the Lord, the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, all of the time. Sometimes for some of us, we have some inclination towards music or some talent there, all kinds of songs come to our heads. And sometimes with songs in our Krishna conscious songs. And sometimes the mind stubbornly stays with it because the tune is nice. So we want to stay with that. But we cannot, or if we keep thinking and singing those lyrics that somebody that is thinking materially has put out, it has no use. So then we change it and we put the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra words with that tune and sing like that. So that way we're remembering Krishna. And it doesn't matter even if it doesn't fit so well, it doesn't matter at all. As long as we're chanting Krishna's name. It was a nice tune. Actually, in the end, sometimes it gives ideas about how to compose certain songs, but it's from wanting to train the mind to remember Krishna the whole time. And when that happens, then, as the Papa says, one cannot suddenly remember the Lord at death. That has become the predominant thought in our mind, thinking about the Lord. Therefore, when it comes time to leave, one will think about the Lord also. As a matter of fact, Lord Chaitanya is so merciful, and I've heard this twice from a sannyasi and also from a Smita, that even if death blindsides a person, that is, you don't see it coming, all of a sudden you just get in a situation with an accident and the devotee leaves the body, he dies on the spot. It has been explained that a devotee that has taken this process of bhakti yoga seriously, even that time, and we all know that it takes a split second to think about something. It takes a split second to think about something. Lord Chaitanya will force his image into the mind of a devotee who is serious, even at that time, that the Lord will make sure that the Lord is remembered by that devotee, even at that time the devotee doesn't see the death is coming. Even that would happen. And so if all we have to do is take this process seriously, and the Lord will extend his mercy. Guru will extend his mercy. Lord Nityananda, Lord Gauranga, they will extend their mercy so that one can go back to Godhead. So we really are covered in so many ways. Sometimes, many times we hear Krishna wants us back home, we want our love, wants us back home. That's why all of these arrangements have been made. It's not because we deserve it. We are in jail. We left to the spiritual world. But look what he has done. Not only has he followed us to this place as Paramatma, not only has he followed us and guiding us, but he's put all of these processes in place so that all you have to do is do what the spiritual master, the representative of Krishna, asks us to do, and do it as a matter of seriousness, train it to become habit, and keep at it and keep at it and keep at it. And then the heart opens up, we become happy in Krishna consciousness, and then that kind of happiness is the one that helps us to detach from the material things. Because the material things aren't so important anymore. So when one remembers the Lord at death, it only happens to those devotees who, in fact, are remembering the Lord the whole time. That's why Rupa Goswami says, always remember the Lord. Never forget the Lord, and then check everything that you do. Would this help me in devotional service? Or will this not help me in devotional service? Make sure that those things that helps my bhakti you do, and those things that are going to be nimaka or against bhakti, then we cut those off. To train the mind to can't come to that point where only Krishna is what matters. Krishna consciousness is what matters. In Bhagavad Gita, again, the same chapter, Attaining the Supreme, chapter 8, text 14, Ananya Cheta Satatam, Yo Mam Smarati Nityasha, Tasyaham Sulabha Partha, Nitya Yutaksha Yogina. Krishna says, Krishna is saying, for one who always remembers me without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Pritha, because of his constant engagement in devotional service. So here it is. Srila Prabhupada took the trouble to describe the chakras. But then Krishna is saying, just remember me without devotion, without deviation, and constantly engage in devotional service, and I will be very easy to obtain. So this is the thing that we need to be doing and reminding each other to do the whole time. So devotees should think, what is it that I need to do that Srila Prabhupada will be happy with me? Am I satisfying my guru? What is my guru's mission? Am I part of it? If he were here and he found out what I do for service, would he be happy with me? These questions are questions that we should ask ourselves, and we should have the right answers for them. Because if any of the answers are no, then that means that we have to change what we're doing now. You should change it. So, material goodness. People who are in material goodness, they may leave a life, with the life air coming out of the mouth or someplace like that. More the ignorance people, they come out even lower than that. And then, of course, they will go to hellish planets for some punishment. So devotees should serve Krishna the whole time so they can remember Krishna at the time of death. Now, devotees should also do one very important service. Chant for the person getting ready to leave the body. It is a very, very important service that we need to do when we realize or when we hear that a devotee that we are connected with is getting ready to leave the body. Please take time off whatever we're doing and go to where that devotee is and be there to make arrangements for them to hear the holy name before they leave. It is very, very important. Now, the other side of the coin is we should maintain good relationships with other devotees so that they will give that kind of service to us when it comes time for us to leave. So we have to be very, very, very careful to maintain good relationships with all the devotees. As a matter of fact, in Srimad Bhagavatam, the places where it has been, and it's in the first canto, it's been explained that even when we go through difficulties with devotees, it is actually Krishna's arrangement using the devotees for us to learn a little bit of chastisement. We deserve more chastisement, but we get only a small fraction of it, and that sometimes is put on us through another devotee. So we shouldn't really be going after the instruments that that Krishna has arranged for us to learn our lessons from. Now, if we understand it that way, it's very easy to forgive them. Okay, so if something, Krishna is the cause of all causes, Sarva Karana Karanam. So if we've been through something that is difficult with a particular devotee, it means that there were some things in our previous life that were negative, and Krishna has allowed some lessons for us to learn, and through those lessons, to improve our devotion to the Lord and improve the kind of person that we become, we should become. And sometimes it takes those who are around us, and some of those will be devotees. It's not only non-devotees that do negative things. I personally feel sorry for devotees who may turn and give me a hard time, because you see, Krishna notices everything. So yes, my understanding is that it has to be something connected with my own self, that this has been arranged for me to learn some lessons. And so that would help me to kind of disconnect from that situation and not have to think negatively about that particular devotee. As a matter of fact, I remember Chandrasekhar Swami was saying, when a devotee offends you, you pray for them. Literally pray for them. Now, it takes great humility to come to that platform, but it is possible to do it. You pray for them. If you pray for them, for their welfare, you will also disconnect from what they have done to you. You realize that it will not be a big deal to you anymore. And then adding that to the fact that it has to be something that we ourselves have done, that Krishna is giving us just a small percentage of chastisement using that particular devotee or devotees that have done that. So if we seriously want to go back home, then this is the way in which we should look at trouble that happens, to us. And that way we won't maintain so much negativity in our minds, and then we'll be able to chant the holy name properly. The person who has less negativity in our mind, in the mind, is also a person that's quite humble and will be able to chant as Lord Chaitanya says we should do. Trinadapi Sunichena, Tarodiva Sahishtana, Amalina Manadena, Kirtaniya Sadahari. So we should definitely try to be present for devotees leaving the body, to chant for them. Now, the other point is, once you be convinced that this world is a place where suffering predominates. Suffering predominates. We are in the wrong place because our souls like to have a good time. We are Ananda type persons, but then we are in a place where there's suffering. So why shouldn't we want to leave? So much trouble happens, especially when you get older. At any time, a part of the body can cause a problem. With you're not even planning. The next thing you know, here you are in the hospital in emergency. I mean, when you're younger, maybe it doesn't happen so much, but it can happen at any time. Those of us now at that age have an experience of how it can be. It's like there's no point in staying here too long. Really, it's not. And if we're going to stay here, any other breath, the next breath, and the one after that should all be used for serving the Lord. As it says, there's adhyatmic, adhibautic, and adhidevic kleshas. They're always disturbing. A few times now I've looked at YouTube, and it's like there's flooding everywhere around the world. You hear, oh, some countries there's flooding here, there's some countries people are losing their cars, losing their property, some people are dying. And then it comes to the United States, Atlanta, Georgia, flooding there too. So you can't think that, oh, I'm in this place, so I'll be fine. No, the whole material world is like that. Trouble can happen at any time, anywhere. This is no place to be, and that's why Krishna wants us back. So we should try to help others in their devotion. That's an easy way for Krishna to be pleased with us. Krishna is pleased with those who help to elevate others in bhakti. So we do that, then we'll be all set to go. So we should know what Atma Tattva is. Atma Tattva. We are the soul and not the body. We should not be so attached to so many things in the material world. The material world is called a world of death. See, the Papa says that in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 1, Text 4. Every living being who is born is going to die. From Brahma, who lives for trillions of years, to germs who live for only a few seconds, we're going to die. Death is imposed on everyone. So we can't be too attached to anything here. And people are saying, oh, we're going to live for a long time, make all kinds of arrangements. And it's funny how when you're getting older and you're making more arrangements, and you find out what it really is later on. People like me who are DIY, do-it-yourself kind of person, we like to work out, build this, do that. Then all of a sudden the body shuts off, and all the tools that we used to use, we're looking at them, we can't use them anymore because the body is just shut down. So that is a reminder. We are not going to be here long. Srila Prabhupada explains it this way. One should examine the fact that his father or his grandfather has already died, and he himself was also sure to die, and even their children, who are the would-be fathers and mothers of the children, they will also, of their children, will also die in due course. Nobody will stay here. Material nature doesn't allow anyone here. So we chant, and we take this process of bhakti very seriously, and even the way in which the life air leaves the body. It's been explained nicely. But after saying all of that, Srila Prabhupada says, just remember Krishna, chant his holy name, and serve nicely, and Krishna will take you back. Don't worry how the life air comes out, Krishna will take you back home, back to Godhead. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. So, dear devotees, this is time for us to start our conversation. You have questions?
Very wonderful, Prabhu. Thank you very much. See, these things to know, it's very hard, but these are the reality. This is the reality.
Mm-hmm.
And always reality, truth. It won't go. It will be bitter like that. But it is the truth. It is the truth.
This
But,
is, yeah.
yeah.
This is the way. Go ahead. Sorry.
When you are telling all these chakras, I was thinking of that. But instead of doing that, Srila Prabhupada gave us easy way to chant.
Yeah.
Because that at the end of the lifetime, we cannot think all of those things.
Yeah, when the senses are shutting down. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, like you said, in an accident or anything can happen. This moment is not, this is the moment we know, but what is next moment, we don't know.
We don't.
So practically, I felt these few days back, I had like this in the hospital and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I was feeling same thing when I was on the table. I said, okay, if I have any duty here, I can stay. Otherwise, whatever you wish, wherever you want me to send. And I was chanting Hare Krishna, that's all.
Yay.
Here, next moment, I am here after that. So that means I don't know what my life is.
Yeah.
But that really, all these things, these chakras and all, it is very hard to remember a common person like us, like me. So, but Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the easiest thing.
Absolutely.
Srila Prabhupada. So,
absolutely. Again, so when you hear all of this, how yogis start in the different chakras from the base of the spine, and then it goes up, and what they do, in order to finally get it up, the head, the whole cerebral whole. And Sri Papa says, all right, all of that happens. I didn't make you that kind of yogi. You just chant Hare Krishna. Spiritual master will come get you, and Krishna will allow you back in the spiritual world.
And like you said, I always think, I also love music lover. So I always think when I chanting Hare Krishna, I try to tune in to my own feeling in the songs which I know, Krishna songs or whatever song. I try to put the tune in that. So that way my mind goes that side. I forget all the other things. So that is a beautiful thinking, Prabhu, what you are saying. Thank
Krishna's mercy, Guru's mercy. This is all for all of us to learn from, but we should really, really open up to serving each other. Christian consciousness should be a selfless way of life. We always should be helping other devotees, and anyone who wants to come to Christian consciousness, find a way to make them realize how fortunate they are that they've come to this process, because there's no better process anywhere. And so much mercy is built in at this time as Vaishnavas that we can actually get an opportunity to go home with minimal effort, actually. Just train yourself to do the things you're supposed to do, to chant, to hear, and when you're having some kind of issues, see somebody you can trust and tell, it seems like this part of my devotion is not working so well. What can I do? Have a discussion. Have a discussion. If you don't have anybody, then have a discussion with the spiritual master that comes to them, because they can trust them. Go right to them and ask, I'm having this issue, and please help me, like that, so you can get some good advice from them and then improve your life. This is Kali Yuga. It's not going to get better. It's that people are not doing things to make demigods give us even a decent mode of goodness life here. Because we are doing all the wrong things, eating meat, involving illicit sex and intoxication, all of those things. Human beings doing it, wasting their time. So the atmosphere in this world is not going to get better, but it's only going to get worse.
That's going to
it's going to get worse, because people are not taking things seriously. And the leaders, forget them. I won't even get into that. So, any other comments or questions from the devotees? Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Prabhu. Oh, Bhakta David, did you have
Hare Krishna. but David gives us a peek of him.
Oh yeah, Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you very
Krishna.
much, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. There you go. This is Srila Prabhupada.
The other thing that I was thinking is, when we are done with this class and we go back into what we call the real world, the unreal world, is we remember this, and that we have relationships and we have to work on that.
Yes.
Balabhadra Prabhu was saying the other day, remember Rupa Goswami's instructions, have those relationship with the devotees, giving and accepting and sharing and, confidentiality and all that.
Yes.
That is where, because we don't live a secluded life. We live a life of relationships. And to help ourselves and help each other, we need to make sure that we work on those relationships and make it so that it's conducive for advancement.
Yes.
Not and it becomes an impediment if we don't have good relationships. It becomes an impediment because that's what our mind will dwell on.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
It's always good to hear from you on a Sunday morning to get us, we used to listen to you on Monday mornings to begin the week, because these are things, it's not once and done. It's a continuous thing. It's a process. It's something we have to constantly practice to help us get out of this. It took me a very, very, very long time to understand that we don't belong. I would always listen to that fish out of water story and the play, but that I am the fish in this, I was thinking of others, but just realizing that I am also that fish living in a place that I don't belong. And that we need to get out of here. We will never, ever be happy here, searching for happiness in a place that will never give us happiness. The futile attempt of it is just mind-boggling.
And still people feel that
exactly.
they will, science keeps saying, oh, we come this new gadget and this new gadget and this new gadget. We will never, ever be happy. It's not designed that way. It's designed for a person whose eyes are open to say, I have to get out of here. It is the only way. We have experience of people who are getting, leaving the body, and we still make all long plans, all, elaborate plans, but that is certainly not going to give us the happiness that we want, because we are here for only a short while. And so we're struggling. Actually, as it said, Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Text 1, the translation itself says that by the Lord's potency, and I'm just paraphrasing, that we think that this world that we're living in is so real when in fact it's unreal. Srila Prabhupada has explained it a different way, that we have these two bodies. We have a gross physical body, and then we have the subtle body. And the daytime, we are using this physical body. And so we are going through a dream state. It's actually based on the way it is in the spiritual world. This is like a dream, where we are making decisions based on the mind, the senses, and the physical body. And then at nighttime, physical body stops, rests, and then the subtle body is going through also, where different places, another type of dream. When the subtle body, in those dreams, we also make decisions in the dream. We make decisions. And when we wake up, we make decisions. So this daytime one is a longer type of dream, in a sense, a dream. And we didn't know things are going to be okay because we have control over what we do, but actually material nature is batting us up left and right. And so the only way we're going to realize what real life is when we get back to Godhead. And so the spiritual masters are preparing us, and the Lord has given all sorts of arrangements if we will just take it seriously. So we can go back to our original place, back to Godhead. And now even the opportunity not to go to any Vaikuntha planet, but Goloka Vrindavan. At that, how fortunate we are.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Any other comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, like Prabhu, like you said, like I have to get out of this material world. That was my first realization, from the beginning. And I came to Krishna consciousness just because of this realization. I don't like this world. And I have to, yeah.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say, Prabhu.
If you don't like this world, you're already mentally, you're liberated. That's we pulled it the other day, Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 21, Text 21, in the second paragraph in the purport, Srila Prabhupada says, if you're disgusted with the material world, then it means you're liberated, because you're going to want to leave. So the physical body has not left yet, it's not died yet, but you're already thinking in terms of, I don't like it here, so I'm going to get out. Well, join the club. I don't like it here either.
Yeah,
the club, Prabhu.
Yeah, Prabhu. I heard from my Prabhu, actually. He was saying about like Srila Prabhupada and the back to Godhead thing. This word, attracted me so much. Back to Godhead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Back to happiness. Back to real happiness. It's back to Godhead. When we get
that will
back,
never finish.
Yeah. It's not here. It's not even a heavenly planet, and certainly forget the hellish planet. Devotees, we have an opportunity. We have to chant strong rounds, as we say, very, very focused rounds, and serve and open our hearts in all kinds of service. Service, we should feel fortunate when we have service to do. So the fact that we have service to do alone should make us feel fortunate.
That's true.
And then it will also affect our chanting. It would improve our chanting, because the happier you are, the better your chanting is. But the happiness comes from internally. And of course, that time will come when we will go back. We'll meet again, but this time in our original soul bodies, and then the soul expanded and all of that, and then we'll have a great time the whole time. And we'll never die. Yeah, it's a much better situation that's waiting for us. We have to take it seriously. That's why Srila Prabhupada says, finish this business here, this lifetime. Try to finish it this lifetime so you can go. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hare Krishna. Go Srila Prabhupada.
Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Any other? Okay. I suppose we can end now. I think.
Yes.
Radhastami is coming Friday, right? You guys have a program Friday?
On Friday, and please hope to see you on Saturday. You know what's happening on Saturday.
Yeah, your Rath Yatra.
Our Rath Yatra, Prabhu.
The Rath Yatra.
Our Rath Yatra.
The Rath Yatra, yes.
The
Please,
Rath Yatra.
everybody, please. From Tuesday, the services are starting, so so hope to see you and Mother Anasuya on Saturday.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Whatever the Lord plans, we just servants. Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhasya kripa sindhya evata patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you very much.